We're only a few weeks into the new year and we already have our first non-consensual villain of TikTok for 2022. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a little saga called Elm Caleb, and it reveals a pattern of behavior on TikTok that seems to be getting worse and worse. The users of the site find someone they don't like, share their personal information, drive heaps of abuse and harassment against them, and then find other people who fit similar profiles and attack them. This sort of trend started last year in earnest and has only become worse over the last 12 months. This is what it's like inside of TikTok's witch hunt machine. Hi, I'm back. I don't know if this shirt is as fun as last week's shirt, but I think it's pretty fun. This week we have a slightly more serious topic to talk about, but I think it's an important one. We're talking about TikTok, and we're talking about the organized networked harassment that the app continues to inspire. Once again, I have with me my trusty motion graphics artist, John, but this week I also have a new editor working with me. His name is Adam. Say hi. Let's get into it. The real catalyzing moment in the Elm Caleb saga was when a New York-based TikTok influencer named Kate Glavin discovered that a Tinder date of hers, named Caleb, had slept with another TikTok user hours before Kate went on a date with him. She posted about it. Other TikTok users posted about it. They discovered they had all gone on dates with the same Caleb. And it caused a free-for-all on the platform where users suddenly were very interested in learning as many details about Caleb as possible. And they also began trying to find other men in other cities that had similar patterns of behavior to Caleb. It's a mess, but it's also totally par for the course of the way TikTok operates. The platform's extremely young audience loves vigilante justice, and they also want to iterate on whatever's going viral on the platform because it's a good way to build their own clout. So you have something like Elm Caleb, which is one user's experience, turning into a collaborative project where they're all trying to harass and dox the same guy, to them finding their own versions of this type of man in their own cities. But as I said, this isn't the first kind of thing like this that's happened on the platform, and it's not even the first time this has happened in the last 6 months. All of these TikTok scandals, going all the way back to the drama around the bee lady from last year, are really about context collapse. This idea that the internet, as infinitely large and malleable and expressive as it is as a medium, can't totally accurately depict our own realities. So things get cut out, things don't get posted, things don't get included. And it creates a lot of rage when real life sneaks its way in. And you can see this rage actually in the comments of the bee lady video that I put out last year. Seriously, go check out how I don't really read them because, like, as I've said in other videos, I'm very sensitive and I don't want to read any sort of criticism, but also I can't even figure out who they're mad at or why they're mad at me. But it's a lot of rage there. And, you know, I'm not a big creator on this platform, so I don't know why they're leaving those comments under my videos. Like, there's bigger fish to fry, right? I think it's fair to say that TikTok is one of the most engrossing platforms that's ever been created. The algorithm moves faster than anything we've ever seen, and the content is short and easy to share and easy to create and easy to remix. It creates this really, really addicting structure that it's really hard to separate yourself from. And it creates the false impression that everything you need to know is in the app. If there's visual information there, that must be everything you need to understand what's going on. And I think TikTok users in particular, when they're confronted with new information that isn't available on TikTok, they get really, really freaked out and they lash out. And I'm not really sure how you fix this kind of phenomenon. It feels pretty baked into the way TikTok works. I mean, there's the possibility that we're beginning to understand why a lot of large platforms started with status updates or 140 characters or just streaming video or just 6-second looping videos. It's possible that what TikTok offers us is actually too much to handle. But there are more stories like this. One of the biggest success stories for TikTok of 2021 was the popularity of the train guy. He goes by the username Francis Borges, and he amassed over 2 million followers for his pretty delightful and extremely innocent videos of trains in the UK. Also, he straps a GoPro on his head and films his own reaction to the trains, which is totally crazy and great, and I genuinely love this guy's content, seriously. A few months ago, old photos and videos surfaced of Francis Borges, and it suddenly called into question his entire persona on TikTok. A college-focused tabloid in the UK called The Tab published an article titled, "Derailed. TikTok train star Francis Borges' real name is Luke," in which they quote-unquote exclusively revealed that the TikToker's name was Luke Nicholson, a 21-year-old from northwest London, and he had incorporated a company named Francis Borges Limited. The article's subheadline read, "We're just as heartbroken about it as you are." Nicholson then released a video addressing the controversy. He explained that he went through a bodybuilding phase when he first got to college, and then lockdown happened, and over the course of the pandemic, he reignited his love of trains. And obviously, he started using TikTok to document that. I think we've all gone through similar things over the course of the pandemic. In fact, actually, a similar thing happened with me in ska music. So, and Pokemon, and Digimon, and a bunch of other anime. I really regressed over the last couple of years. But the whole non-story around Francis the TikTok train guy was a really interesting depiction of how TikTok's anger and distrust and conspiratorial attitudes can turn against even its biggest influencers. It's part of a investigation culture that's been spreading on the app for months, and we saw this also with the quote-unquote couch guy trending topic a couple months before all of the users turned against Francis. There's also a racial dimension to all of this as well, which is worth pointing out. In one video, Nicholson describes his pre-train style aesthetic as quote-unquote roadman clothes, which is a term that comes from working-class black British culture. For many users, the old photos of Nicholson clashed with his current aesthetic, and it felt inauthentic, which is true. It does make you wonder, what exactly is happening here. And there was also the autism question. Nicholson had never publicly said if he was or wasn't on the autism spectrum, and frankly, it's none of our business. But the presentation of his videos led many autistic TikTok users to claim that he was, or at the very least, they felt like he was representative of their community. In fact, an autism news site wrote an entire piece claiming that Nicholson was the victim of cancel culture and quoted a bunch of other autistic creators who were defending him. For a TikTok channel about a guy who really likes trains, things really spiraled out of control. But the truth is that all of these things can be true and also not really matter. A TikTok user with over 1 million followers probably should incorporate, and you know what, if they don't want to use their own name, that's totally fine, it's the internet. The biggest streamer in the world is a kid named Dream, and we don't know what he looks like. But what's also probably true is that a white college student from northwest London probably doesn't have a very nuanced or informed concept of British class and race dynamics. Last, and I think most importantly, is that an autistic person can get into bodybuilding, can be really into trains, can love raving, and most importantly, it's none of our business. TikTok as an app, as a platform, incentivizes this kind of intense analysis of each other's content. Users feel like they understand everything there is to understand about what a creator's putting out there. They must believe that what they're seeing on the screen is the entirety of reality, because if it isn't, then it starts to make us uncomfortable. There's a psychological aspect here. So they assume, okay, everything that Francis the TikTok train guy is posting must be totally and 100% a depiction of his authentic self. Even though we don't do that with our own content. We all know that we're not really being ourselves on the internet. But it's this very weird effect where TikTok users in particular become very distressed about the slightest hint that another user isn't being their total authentic self on the app. In December, TikTok became obsessed with a TikTok user named Sabrina Prater, and the bio for their account read, "I'm a 34-year-old male, been dressing up since I was little, working on coming out." The video was picked up by creepypasta accounts that exist on TikTok who started speculating about whether or not Prater was a serial killer. Sabrina Prater is a real person who just posted some fun content on this app, but the other users on the app used their content as a way to build their own clout. They remixed it and reiterated it, and once again drove a lot of abuse and harassment and doxing towards a particular user. And many people have pointed out that this was basically just a low-income trans woman making fun videos who was then chased off social media because people found them creepy. It's the TikTok version of Slender Man, except Slender Man wasn't a real person, and TikTok users don't seem to care about real people or what they do to real people when they do this sort of thing. It's a macro trend that we also saw at play during the Gabby Petito disappearance. It's the direct result of TikTok's algorithm, which links together trending audio and challenges and promotes random users to massive audiences, oftentimes without their consent. The whole thing is sad and grim and strange and dehumanizing, and it's only getting worse. A month before that, in October, there was a TikTok moral panic about people being supposedly randomly attacked on a subway platform in New York City. The whole thing started with a user named Avoid, whose real name was Kaylee Busari. In her video, which has now been viewed over 1 million times, Busari claims that she was punched in the face at the West 4th subway stop, and then she shared videos of her bruised face. And I'm not saying she wasn't punched. New York City is a crazy place, all sorts of things can happen, and it's very possible that, this is exactly what happened. According to a Curbed piece, Busari said she spoke to the police about the attack, but she didn't file a formal report. But here's the thing, after Busari's video went viral, other users started sharing videos claiming that they were attacked at the same platform. And then people started making memes about those videos, and then people started going to that subway station and making content directly at it. It's this effect where one person does one thing, a bunch of other users iterate and remix on top of it. Then a bunch of users create memes about those remixes and iterations, and then if there's a physical location involved, it becomes a flashpoint where all of the users show up to make more content. It turns our reality into viral content. It's hard to wrap your head around because it's a deeply uncomfortable feeling, but it keeps happening with TikTok. And if it's not a physical location, it's a specific person, as we've seen with Elm Caleb, with Francis the TikTok train guy, with Sabrina Prater. Imagine TikTok's algorithm is a giant spotlight, and if you point it at something, it not only drives an unfathomable amount of attention towards it, it also starts to change it. Most of the West 4th puncher stuff was silly and goofy with just people jumping on the hashtag, and that's it. But you could see how this could become very dangerous and spiral out of control pretty quickly, and it has. Before the West 4th Street puncher, there was Couch Guy. If you missed it, a girl filmed herself surprising her boyfriend at college. He, in the video, didn't react in a way that TikTok users felt was appropriate. I guess they just didn't think that he expressed the right emotion when she showed up or whatever. And they started claiming he was cheating on her. They tried to dox him. They did forensic analysis of the way his apartment looks. They slowed down the footage. They claimed that he was secretly texting other women in the scene. Once again, only using what TikTok has provided them to prove that something nefarious had happened here.
You can see a reflection.
Can you enhance the image from here?
Can you enhance him right here?
Can you enhance it?
Can you enhance it?
Can we enhance this?
Or can you enhance it?
That's what keeps happening. TikTok users assume that everything on TikTok is a total reflection of reality and that all of their answers can be found in either viewing or making more TikTok content. It's the false promise of the platform. A lot of this is connected to a phenomenon I like to call the traffic light live stream phenomenon. There's been a few instances over the last few years where a camera's been placed at a traffic light or an intersection or a stop sign, and users on platforms like Twitch have become obsessed with it, bombarding the comments with funny things and just talking about the bizarre shared experience of watching an internet camera of just really mundane stuff. Most recently, this was done at a stop sign in Massachusetts where people were rolling through the stop sign instead of actually stopping. Now, I'm from Massachusetts, and I can tell you stop signs are not really totally hard and fast rules. They're more like slow down here while slowly sipping your iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Not so much like a hard stop, you know what I mean? The other dimension to this is that TikTok is becoming the biggest app in America. It used to be Facebook, and all of our weird, bizarre, and frankly fucked up behaviors were going on Facebook. And what was kind of nice about the Facebook era is that Facebook was so big and so hard to navigate that we weren't really seeing all of the really crazy stuff that we were posting on that website. Whatever becomes the most popular platform in America ends up reflecting the kind of ugly, bizarre soul of the country back to us. Obviously, though, through the form that's given by the platform. So Facebook is all about status updates and life events and groups. And so that's what we saw. We saw things like the January 6th insurrection. We saw things like towns being overrun with conspiracy theories. We saw things like families fighting with each other underneath posts about Minion memes or whatever. But now on TikTok, we're seeing that same ugliness, that same American ugliness, via dance challenges and teenage petty fights and weird memes and lip sync videos. It's the same ugliness, just via a new delivery mechanism. As for our most recent example of all of this, Elm Caleb, Kate Glavin, the influencer that kicked it all off, has posted a series of updates about the whole thing. In fact, a lot of the people who were part of the initial rush to attack this Elm Caleb are now claiming that they're receiving death threats for sicking their followers on them. And they're defending themselves in a way that I think is indicative of all of these kind of scandals. Glavin argued that she never doxed him, which is true. She never did. She never actually gave any personal information about him. And she complained that media brands, both corporate brands like this Mayo company, which tweeted about it for some reason, and also mainstream media, picked up the story and ran with it in a way that she didn't agree with. And this is a common thing that I've heard from a lot of TikTok influencers that I've interviewed over the last year or two. They usually claim that they're not the ones doxing people. They're not the ones sicking their followers on people. They're not the ones driving harassment. Instead, they argue that that happens afterwards and that they have no control over what users do once they come into contact with their content via their For You page, which is fair. That is true. And I think blaming influencers in this situation and all of the other situations I outlined in this video isn't totally accurate. However, there is no really denying it anymore. If you post about somebody on TikTok, there is the chance that the entire internet will try to kill that person. That is just how this keeps working. Say all you want that you are telling your followers not to send people death threats, not to harass them, not to expose them, but they will. The app has trained the users to do that. And no one who works at TikTok seems to care about putting any kind of stop break in there. Even a Massachusetts style one where you sort of just slow users down and put some friction in there isn't happening. The particulars of the actual Elm Caleb situation, you know, the bad man dating multiple women, that's not what this video is about. And I'm not the person to talk to about it. But what is not complicated is TikTok's role in all of this as a platform. It facilitates this kind of behavior. Both TikTok, the company, and its biggest influencers can pretend like that's not what they want to happen. And chances are maybe that's not what they want to happen. But there just doesn't seem to be a way to use TikTok without causing this kind of harassment, without causing this kind of abuse. Unless you put like music on there maybe. But even then, like, I feel like kids might think you're writing a song about a specific person and go find them. I'm not sure. Maybe just don't show your face or use your real name. I don't know. I want to post some music on TikTok, but I'm kind of afraid I'll get pulled into some sort of weird Illuminati thing. I don't know.